Right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for another session of RM Smart Investing. I'm so pleased to have you, and I'm so pleased we have a special treat today. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Laurie Davis. She's been kind enough to give her time and her expertise, especially right before Christmas. And I thought that would be a very timely subject. All of us, we want to come up with the New Year resolutions, but there are some things that hinder us. So I'm very grateful. I'm going to ask Dr. Laurie, maybe give us a little bit about your background. I know, she's expert. I call her pure educator, and I'm again grateful to have known her and used her advice in the past. So, Dr. Laurie, would you be kindly just give us a little about your background and of course we're going to talk about a very timely subject, especially when it comes to trading. So, um, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, first of all, a very smart woman once told me if a woman would tell you her age, she'll tell you anything. So so we're not going to even go there, gentlemen. All right. So thank you, Ramin, for the opportunity to be with the guys again. I love that. And great to see everybody here. So just to bring things into like a thumbnail, it was about 1997. So what are we talking? 25 years ago now? After being in the public school system for 15 years, both as a classroom teacher and an administrator, I left. I resigned and I pursued a career in sales and marketing, and I was there for 12 years. And then I decided to incorporate my own business. So when Ron, whom we were just discussing, I had just met him in 92, and he said, well, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And that was the only person in my life that had ever said that to me. What do you want? I mean, who asks us that? What do you want, Henry? What do you want, Jean-Claude? What do you want, Martin? What do you want, G? What do you want, Ramin? And it was such a powerful question, and I had to think about it, and I thought, I'd really like to own and operate my own training company, because up until then, education was my priority, and I knew how to sell that. I didn't do a very good job when I was in the system because actually nobody was buying, but so not a good place to go trading. Okay, so just to give you a little heads up, and that was a joke. So anyway, he said, well, let's do it then. And so we opened our doors for business in 92. But 5 years into our business, I was doing corporate training and sales training and all kinds of different things. But at that time, we had I'm from the East Coast, Nova Scotia, so we were always in a recession. I was born into a recession, and I left in a recession. And at that time, a lot of government cutbacks, corporate cutbacks. So people were looking at ways to have their own business, and they didn't really know how to transition from that secure, what they thought to be a secure paycheck every 2 weeks, and how do I set up a business? How do I start? And I had already done that when I transitioned from teaching to my sales career, which was an independent position set on commission. So I thought, you know what, I can show people how to do that. So that was very lucrative for us for the first 5 years of our business. That was a big part of what we did. But about 5 years into it, I came home one day and I said to Ron, I've worked with little kids, adults, males, females, all professional backgrounds, all socioeconomic backgrounds, marginalized communities, athletes, CEOs, bank managers, whatever, but there's the bottom line here. And he said, what are you talking about? He had no idea. Because, we as women, we have a way to just kind of go around and all the rabbit trails and not get to the point. But the point was, I realized that most people are walking around feeling like there's something wrong with them. And if you think about that, your position or your financial position, your education, that's universal. And that I discovered. The second thing is many people lack confidence. Now, the first issue, feeling like there's something wrong with me, is a self-worth issue, not, it's placing the value on me. The second one is a confidence issue, not being able to take those risks to get where I want to go, to do what I want to do. Because most people need to have all the ducks lined up, except if you're, you know, in the, like Ramin in the trading business. I'm sure he's taken lots of risks, just like the rest of us. But risk taking is a very huge factor for a lot of people. And so the third thing that I recognized was poor communication skills. So I said to Ron, these are three things that were, to me, were a common thread in all the people I'd worked with, whether they were students, sales team, colleagues, my clients. And I said, I'm going to do something about it. Not everybody needs therapy. Sometimes we just need a little education. So I got started. I won't share all the details because you don't need all that today, but the bottom line is I started with 10 workshops to support people in those three areas. Not feeling valuable, not placing value, lacking confidence, and communication. That was 30 years ago or plus. Well, 5 years, 25 years ago. So today we have over 1,000 workshops. We started out with 10 because situations kept coming up and it was down. The bottom line was there for no matter what, whether it was a relationship, a marriage, a parent-child relationship, a colleague relationship. Those usually were the three things where there was a problem. Lack of self-worth, lack of self-confidence, they're two different things, and communication skills. So that's a little background, and we could go on and on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that. That just kind of gives you a sense of where I'm coming from. So Ramin and I refer to it as sort of the soft side of everything, because without those soft skills, the hard skills sometimes are difficult to implement. So we might be really skilled in an area, but maybe don't have the confidence to pull it off. And that I had a personal issue with that. And we're going to talk about tires today and wheels and trucks and cars and driving, because in 2010, I was making a left-hand turn and I got hit by an 18-wheeler loaded down with oil field equipment. The biggest trucking company in Alberta, that's big business here, let me tell you. And when that accident was reported, I got the next day a "don't call your lawyer" call. This is XYZ Trucking Company. We're the most famous trucking company in Alberta. This guy hit me as if I had made the turn, I'd have been T-boned and I'd have been dead. But the only way that I knew I was in an accident, I was stopped and his back wheels were going over the hood of my vehicle. And that's how I knew I was in an accident. So he decided to tell me about the amazing training program they had. He had no idea who he was talking to. And I said, well, you might have a training program, but I'll tell you what, it's not being implemented, so it isn't worth crap. And he didn't know what to say to that. Because you see, we can have all the training in the world, but if we don't have the confidence to implement it, then it's kind of best not even to have it to start with. So that's kind of where I'm coming from today. And I'm going to share a little exercise with you just to have a little fun. And then Ramin is going to talk about the trading side of how these two concepts are connected. Our ability to take a risk, our ability to place value on ourselves and what we do, and being able to communicate to get the results we want. So I know it's guys, and we asked you to bring some paper and something to color with. Oh dear. So hope you can get that together. And we'll get started on something that I call a balance wheel. And I want you to start thinking about, it has nothing to do with trading, but it has everything to do with trading. So try to just keep an open mind, if you will. All right. So Ramin, thank you for the opportunity to talk to the guys and share a little bit of something. So what I do is every time I meet a new client, I get them to draw, and I need you to draw this right on your paper like a donut. Can you all do that? Just humor me now. We'll all do this like a donut. And in the center where the hole is there, I want you to write the words self-worth. Because remember, self-worth is that thing not being able to place value. And when we can't place value on who we are, then we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our decisions. Maybe we don't trust other people. Maybe we don't even like other people, whatever. All right, then we're going to divide the donut into 8 sections like a pie. And I'll just do it mine this way. So it looks something like this. So you have 8 sections in your donut there. And we all know that some vehicles still have a donut tire. So this, I want you to be thinking, you know, keeping that in mind, the mechanics of a tire. All right, so there's 8 areas of life that we need to embrace. And in our Indigenous community, it's called the medicine wheel. And I could lay the medicine wheel right on top of this and it would all collaborate. So the first area that we're going to look at is the area of education. So in any wedge, doesn't have to be the same as mine, but in one of your wedges, just print the word education. Now, on a scale of 0 to 10, every wedge is worth 10 points, okay? So closer to the inside would be 0, outside would be 10. So I would like you to take one of your markers and color in that whole wedge, because the fact that you guys are here today means you're interested in being educated. So education is a lifelong journey. So I want you to give yourselves a 10 on that. All right. So we get to, you know, we get to color it all in, so to speak, like this. So it looks like that. Make sense? All right. Are you all here or are you doing something else?
Now we're only here.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm here
You're
anyway.
here.
I'm
Okay,
searching
good.
for a marker.
All right. Okay, so you got your education in there? Good. So y'all got 10 on that. All right. Okay, the next area we'll look at will be health and wellness. So just put health and wellness in one of the wedges. And I'll show you how to handle this one. So health and wellness. So how do we feel right now? Oh, and by the way, date your wheel, because this is something that can change. So date it for today. So health and wellness. Well, right now, I would say I'd probably give myself about a 7 on health and wellness. So this is how I would look at that in terms of how I color it. So let's say my health and wellness is 7. It's not 10, it's not 5, it's not halfway, it's a geometry lesson. So you just draw an arc where you think 7 might appear, and then you color it from the inside out. So however you're feeling today about health and wellness, and that includes, you know, am I eating properly? Am I smoking too much? Am I emotionally stable? Am I in good shape? Actually, when I took my husband to emergency on Tuesday, they were amazed that of his condition. And they said, you know, it's because of your good health, but this is just going to be a temporary thing. You don't have anything to worry about. But see, taking care of ourselves works, because then when something happens like that, it's just so much easier for the body to combat it. So health and wellness are important. And besides, if you're sick, you can't work or do anything else, right? Okay, the next area is social and fun. You know what? Are you guys having any fun yet? I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out, because fun and social is very important. And laughing and having fun and making jokes and a social life outside of your work. So let's say, just for an example, this isn't my own, but just for an example, you're not getting out there, you're not having fun, you're not, and it's probably maybe like a 4. This is what it would look like. So, you know, it's a 4. I'm just so serious. And isn't that the truth? Life is so serious. And you just get to color a little bit of that wedge. It looks like that. Got it? I think, Ramin, your score and mine went up the night of the wedding. Ramin and I went to a wedding in California. A friend of ours got married. She's 82 and she just got married. Like, really? All right. The next one is career. So how are you feeling right now about your professional life, what you do for a living, how you earn your money? On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you evaluate your professional path right now? And I have to give myself a 10 in that because I love my work and just bring it on. The more I do, the more I love it. So what's your career path look like right now? And what kind of a score would you give that? 5, 7, 8, 10. Love what you do. So you see how we're building our balance wheel. Okay, the next area, and this is always an iffy one for me. I call it my family relations. Family. My gosh, isn't that just a web of confusion? So, I have people in my family that think I'm terrific. And I have people in my family that think I'm out of my mind. And some of them speak to me and some of them don't. And, so where is that? So maybe I'm usually scoring myself around a 6 or a 7 with family because there's fallout and then there's forgiveness and then there's healing and then we're back. And so, my family would be around 7. Oh, and the last words that your daughter said to me, Leonard, when I spoke with her yesterday was, if you're talking to dad, tell him that I love him. So just so you know, sometimes they can't say it themselves, but it comes third hand. So family. All right. The next one would be finance. So how do you feel right now about your financial picture? How you're financially growing, money in, money out, building your wealth, understanding finance. Chief and I are right now in heavy duty classes with Ramin because we want to learn more about this thing called finance and why we're all here today. So that's one of our areas. So however you would score that. 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, maybe you're perfectly financially solvent. You don't need any to worry there. Okay. I gave myself a 7. The next one is spirituality. And this is kind of another little one of those difficult ones because everybody can be on a different path spiritually. So maybe I'm a Catholic, maybe I'm a traditional indigenous spiritual person, maybe I'm, a Dalai Lama fan, maybe I'm a, however your spirit works for you. Maybe you have a relationship with the universe, nature. How would you evaluate your level of spirituality right now? And for me, I'd say like around a 9, so I'd get to color in a big piece of that. Okay. And the last one is relationships. This is relationships outside of your family. So if I was to throw you in a room with 300 people that you don't know, how would you respond to that? Would you be one of those guys who kind of is parked near the wall and hopes nobody comes and talks to you? Or would you be going around shaking hands with people and introducing yourself? How good are you at connecting with people and maintaining those relationships and friendships for years? Like Chief and I, we've been friends a long time. So how are you at that? Building those relationships. And what kind of score would you give yourself? Okay. All right. How we do it? Because we have a couple of more steps and then I'll tell you what this all means. You can answer your own questions. I don't need to see your wheels. You don't need to share your scores. Okay. All right. So it's probably going to look, something like this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a darker color. Now someone might have to run and get a darker marker, but we're going to go around like this. with a different color, so like a darker color. And remember, I don't know, boys do color because I taught kindergarten and I know that's true. Just saying. I had a dream last night. I was doing this big event just for men. I haven't had a chance to tell you about it yet, Ramin, but it was pretty interesting. So see how I've traced around the outside with my darker color like that, joining all the wedges. Okay. And then what I need you to do is turn your wheel around and hold it up to the light. Hold it up to the light. So that you can see that shape. Can you see that shape on the inside of the real circle? See that? So here's my $1 million question. If this was one tire on your vehicle, how far do you think you're going to get? I hope y'all have a chuckle right now. So let's have an answer. That was a question. If this was one tire on your vehicle, how far do you think you're going to get?
Not very far. Although I do have AAA.
Okay, that's a good thing. You wouldn't get far without help. Okay.
Right.
Leonard, how far would you get?
I don't think I'd go very far.
Okay,
No.
all right. Out the driveway, maybe?
Deflation.
Deflation. Not inflation. We need to be inflated right now. Okay. Henry, what about you? How did yours turn out?
I think the first pothole is going to kill me.
Oh, no.
But I do have AAA also. And
Okay,
I
good
guess
to know.
I guess we can put it in our relationships.
You bet. You bet. Okay, good one. And Jean-Claude?
Be very bumpy, that's for sure.
Okay, a bumpy ride. All right, a bumpy ride. So our goal, even, you know what, guys, even if you'd had 3 all the way around, it's not really about the score. And I know how score means a lot to guys. So even if you only had 3 all the way around, at least you'd be balanced. So I'm just going to make a couple of comments if you want to write anything down, just to give you some feedback. The areas that scored high, so we're talking like 8, 9, 10. These are areas where you feel valued, where you have confidence, and probably where you communicate the best about what you need or what's going on. The areas that are low, anything like below 6, 5, 4, 3, a lot of times we have fear there. We have fear in those areas. And so we tend to avoid them. Okay. Okay, Martin had to go. Super content. Thank you. No worries. We understand. So lower than that, it's like those are areas that we really need to work on. No need to be working on something that's already there. Like if you've got 10 or on something or 9, you don't need to put any more effort there. You've already got that down pat. But it's the areas where we know we need to do work. And for me, you know, one area that I wanted to do more work was in finance. And so that's, you know, that was important for me to focus on that. Is important for me to focus on that this year. So it's just that those low areas have to do with areas where we may have some insecurity, some fear, some self-doubt. And then that can all be connected to, you know, whether we have a healthy relationship or not, whether we're financially secure or not. You kind of just can't have one thing going for you. We need all of it going for us, and then they bounce off each other and they feed each other and make everything better. So that's how I will end that. And then for the sake of time, and then perhaps another day we can talk about how to get there, how to get that thing balanced and looking good. Over to you, Ramin. Hope that was helpful. And thank you, gentlemen, for humoring me with the coloring and everything. All right, over to you, Ramin.
Oh, that's awesome, Dr. Laurie. It's funny because sometimes this visual and simple things put so much in perspective. And I've done this before together, but every time it's like you mentioned, it's good to put the date on, and it makes a nice story and a good journey. I'm gonna bring it since we're talking about the trading and investing. It is very timely because one of the things we find out is, especially the more experienced, and you mentioned about education and intelligent we are, sometimes we look for certainties. And in the game of trading and a little less in investing, one of the, I think, culprits is we think we have to, like you mentioned, everything has to line up before you make that decision. And life doesn't work that way, and definitely trading doesn't work that way. And even, been doing this for 30, I don't know, 35 years plus I've been trading, we still have those doubts. Even though we know this is gonna work out, the odds are in our favor, still question ourselves. And that's what the game of trading can become, a very humbling experience. And that's where it's good to see the relationship with all these, the balance wheel, and understanding that we don't have to have certainties. And unfortunately, in trading, a lot of those doubts come to our minds. A lot of our deficiencies in life come to our mind. And it's very important to work on our, like you mentioned, the softer skills to prevent that. And I would like to open, Henry's here, Jean-Claude, they've been doing trading, Jean-Claude, being a portfolio manager. And I think he understands the risks. And the thing is, even today, I'll share that on Saturday's class. I'll just share with our, our group here. I did a couple of trades today, and I've done them. I can close my eyes and do those, but you still have that little niggle. Is this going to work? And that's the part that's what we get rewarded to take that risk. If it was like 100%, nobody will make money because everybody's doing the same thing. So there is not that edge. So and thank God part of it so far has worked out. But again, that self-doubt is such a unfortunately poisonous thing, but it comes back to what you just said. It comes from your self-confidence, having that understanding your own worth and knowing that there is always a risk in whatever we do. So I'd like to hear from, whether Chief or Henry or Jean-Claude want to follow up on that. And then we'd like to hear your, if you have any comments, Dr. Laurie.
So, I mean, for me this year, like reading the book Trading in the Zone, that had like a very strong impact on my thinking. And one thing that really like opened my mind was that when you enter a trade, there's no way of knowing where it's going to go. And that is very freeing in many ways because it removes your responsibility in terms of trying to be right, and it's all about managing risk because there's no way of knowing where what the trade is going to do in advance. And if you get upset because it went the wrong way, that assumes that you thought it was going up. And that's very arrogant because there's no way you should have known that it's going up in many ways. You know what I mean? So it was very that concept was really like it opened my mind in many ways. It's not knowing what's going to happen and just focusing on your process and believing in your process. That's what you can control.
Exactly. That is such a valid point, Jean-Claude. And again, I think that's the culprit. And I go back, I think I've mentioned it a few times. When we are very analytical and we like to rely on our intelligence a lot, it becomes very difficult to accept that accept that, oh, and it's not about being wrong or right. It's about that process. And the other thing is, again, it's the setup. If we follow, unfortunately, what happens is sometimes we don't follow the setup because we always think there's a holy grail out there. So that's why we jump from one YouTube channel to another YouTube channel looking for this magical strategy. There isn't. And the ones who sell it to you, that's how they're making their money. They're selling it based on those strategies, marketing side, not actually the benefit side. But if we work, and I have like 18 or 20, have faith in that and repeat it. It's all, if it's 70% is successful, it goes back what you just said. Then managing that risk, it will be a successful career. And that's our mind plays these games with us. It's about being right, and then the confidence goes down when we are wrong and looking at that wheel. So wonderful. Any other comments? Anything anyone wants to add?
Well, right now, for me, everything's very educational because I'm not doing any trading or big investing. But from the books that I'm reading and looking at the charts, and then what the whole world is happening, even with the volcano, how is it affecting the? That's the first question: is how is it affecting the investment world? And right away, I want to know what. I guess I have to be patient to understand that process and be able to calculate and read what's going on. Then I can do some investments in a proper fashion. I don't want to really jump into it and then lose my shirt over it. So that's
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. And that's what that risk management is so powerful. It's not about how much we make, it's how much we have to come back another day and managing that risk. But it's all about relationships, like you mentioned, Leonard. And once you have that, actually it's enjoyable. I mean, people think trading is very stressful. It is, but like Jean-Claude said, as long as we accept that we don't know what's going to happen in the future, it makes it actually in some ways adventurous, as long as we manage, again, our risk. Any other comments? Anything else, anyone? And then if not, I'd like to hear, what do you hear, Dr. Laurie, based on what you just heard? So
Henry, you got anything to say?
I was just wondering if I have everything at like a 5, I'll still be okay, right?
You're doing
Is
good,
that-
man.
I'm,
You're good.
I'm kidding, but then at least you have balance, right?
That's right.
No, I was just doing some self-reflection, and I think for some of it, like we tend to focus in one area. If you are career oriented or technical in your mindset, you tend to focus on education. But it's a good reminder that we need to focus on all areas of your life. So thank you.
Welcome.
Laurie, would you do this exercise once a quarter or once a year? Would you do it?
Well, I actually, for myself personally, I have a little stack of these, and I do a balance wheel for myself every month. So at the end of the month, I just take out a piece of paper and I go, okay, so how am I doing? Socially, financially, family. And so at the end of the year, I have 12 of them. And I would be able to see where I've made improvements, how I've changed some things, made different decisions. So once a month would be my recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay.
well, can I just interject, Laurie? It's
Yes.
funny. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, if I would have done this, I would be you know, probably flying and I had that balance. And that's how life is so uncertain.
Mhm.
Like the past 2 years, when I look at now, talking about, I would not be able to drive that car another 200 feet because then it's about uncertainty in life. And it's good to see we cannot really rely on everything 100%. All we have is what we have control. And you mentioned the health is so important, although the outside forces constantly niggling you and trying to avoid, I mean, your, interrupting your well-beings in some ways. But yeah, that's how life is, uncertain. So.
Okay, so a couple of things have come up, just in listening to everybody and their feedback. And Jean-Claude, you started that conversation. Because one of the things that, and this might be a little workshop we'd like to do down the road, if you want to make a note of it, Ramin, is how to, in a healthy way, let go of the outcomes. So again, it's about being able to, like you said, saying the same thing that you said, Jean-Claude. I'm just saying it in a different way, but it's the same thing. Because when we have lots of self-confidence and lots of self-worth, we don't really get tied up in outcomes. And it's like putting all your eggs in one basket. A really great entrepreneur never does that. We have more than one basket. So being able to have that confidence, because what happens if things don't turn out the way that we planned, we have this attachment then to the disappointment. And then the disappointment stops us from trying again, or, dusting ourselves off and getting back up and going into the game again. And then, of course, that all comes from our lack of ability to trust ourselves. Do you know, there was a time in my life that I thought everybody else knew how to run my business better than I did. Really? And I listened to those people because I thought they were smarter, or they knew more, or they were more educated, or blah, blah, blah. And man, was that a mistake, because nobody knows our business the way we do. Nobody can step in and do it the way we do it. So whether it's trading, whether it's social work, whether it's, being an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what that is. So trust is a big issue. Not trusting others, forget about that. It's about trusting ourselves, trusting our own decisions, trusting our guts, and getting ourselves into a position where we're not all tied up in the outcomes. And we know that, everything comes, if we're healthy, everything comes in a flow like that, not up, down, up, down, up, down. That's how most people live their lives, actually. So to get out of that high and low belief system, so I kind of use a picture to show it, because most people's lives look like this. They're either on the floor lower than a snake's belly, or they're higher than a kite. And so, you climb the big mountain, and then you have a great trade and you make a lot of money, and then you get a phone call, and your wife's leaving you. And then you go, woo-hoo, woo-hoo, and then you're on the floor again. And now it takes a lot of work to get back up, because life's like that. And then you get the call, your husband's got a blood clot. Okay, well, I could have used that as an excuse not to show up today. I mean, I could use it for an excuse, and everybody would understand. That's the scary part. Okay, so you just keep trucking. So once you have that belief system where you can look, it looks like this. This is the balance. This is where you have the balance. And you go through life like this. Not too many real highs, not too many real lows, but life's going to hand you things, hand you a deck of cards that you've got to deal with. And so you just kind of don't allow it to disrupt your flow and keeping your balance. So right now I'm in a very stressful situation at home, but I cleaned up, I did all kinds of things today so far, and I check in and everything's good, and I just keep on trucking. So not being impacted by those external stimuli, that takes work though. That takes a lot of good personal work. So that's the business we're in. So those are my comments. Over to you, Ramin. Thank you, guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Laurie. Yeah, I think, again, in trading especially, it is a lot what is within us. And we can learn about strategies, we can have the education, but at the end of the day, again, especially I come back to trading, it's almost like us against us or me against me. And it's very difficult. And I think one class, we create a couple of classes called self-talk. It's
Oh,
fun
yeah.
how we are their own worst enemy. It's just amazing words that we use, and it's nothing to do with outside. It's nothing to do with other people. It's about us, and that's why it's challenging to be a good trader, because not everyone has mastery of their selves, and their techniques will give us confidence to some level, but still that thing inside of us, that self-sabotage, we can make millions and lose it all, has nothing to do with, all the skills that we have. It's something to do with here. And that's what's important to learn about, again, these soft skills and overcome those challenges that stops us from being successful.
Mhm.
Oh, this was awesome. Any comments? Anyone?
Questions?
Questions, comments?
Thank you. I think this was great.
No?
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Dr. Laurie. This was excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
It's a good starting place. It actually gives you just a simple visual of where things are right now. And it can, the beautiful thing about it is it does shift and change. And the thing is to make sure that every day, and there's a process in this, and so the next time maybe we do something like this, I can show you what the process is to go from where it is today to getting all fives like Henry, okay? So, just teasing you, Henry. So it's like, there is a process, but it doesn't take long. And now, it's kind of like when you learned how to drive, if you can all go back that far and remember when we learned how to drive, we had to consciously think about, oh, I've got to shift the gears, I've got to put the signal light on, I got to watch for that stop sign. Like, oh, gee, there's a pedestrian. And that was all very consciously aware of the fact that we were learning how to drive. But now when you get in your vehicle, you don't have to think about any of that. It's automatically there for you. So balance is the same thing. So now in my life, after many years of working on that balance, or learning about it many years ago, I should say, because it doesn't take long to get balance. If I go to bed at night and I can't get to sleep, I go, okay, oh, gee, meant to call my mom today and I didn't. I left out the family wedge. You see, there'll always be something that you left out. So now, every day, I do something in all of the areas. Now, is it a conscious thing, like when I first learned how to drive? No, it's very subconscious. But my body and my mind and my soul, they all know. I do something every day about finances. I do something every day to have fun. Sometimes it's teasing Ramin. He doesn't know it, but that's just my way of filling my fun wedge. If it's 9 o'clock at night and I haven't had a laugh yet, I've got to maybe text him something cute and tease him, or Chief, just because I got to have my social. And then, have I done something spiritually? Did I pray today? Did I meditate? What did I do today in terms of education? Well, today I'm here. This is education for me too. So at the end of the day, when you've got it all working for you, you'll do it automatically and you'll feel terrific at the end of the day. You'll feel productive. You'll feel like, okay, I did spend that time I should have with my kids, or took my wife out on a date, or whatever it is. It's not big stuff. It's the little stuff that trips us up. And you'll notice that finance is only one of the 8 wedges. And so we look at those pieces that we want to improve on. Those are the ones with the space at the end where you didn't get to color it in. that means there's more work to do to get there. Because we actually want 10 all the way around. So I'm just giving you that story because not a story, it's at the end of the day, you can be living like that without even having to think about it. But initially, you have to think about it. Make sense? Over to you, Raveen.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Laurie. As I mentioned, I was thinking a Christmas gift or a group, so I thought this was timely as a gift. So I
gift.
very much
Can I-
appreciate it.
Can
Fine.
I,
Go
just
ahead.
ask one question about what you just said, Dr. Laurie?
Yes, of
So
course.
before you get to this point where it's subconscious for you and you don't have to think about it, do you just, how do you manage it? Do you just take notes every day for each wedge? And, how do you
Well,
practically do it?
I'm going to give you something to do. The step one, I want you to take the 8 areas. This is step 1 to getting there. And I want to, a good idea is to write down an idea that you would have. For example, let's say fun and social. Between now and this time next month, the next month is, the 21st of January, social. I'm going to make sure I do something fun in the next 30 days. What is that going to be? Maybe go out with some guy friends, have some pizza, have some beer, watch a hockey game, take my wife or girlfriend out on a date. What are you going to do to have some fun outside of work and family? Because a lot of people, it's wrapped up in their family, but that's their family wedge. But fun and social is something you do just for you. What's one thing I could do to work on my health and wellness? Maybe I need to cut back on something. Maybe I need to reduce my sugar. Maybe I want to. So create an idea for each of the wedges and give yourself a month to make it happen. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay. And here's the little tip. Once you get that done, then you make 8 new ideas, but you only give yourself 2 weeks to make it happen. Then when you do that, you make a list of 8 ideas and you only give yourself a week to make it happen. So you kind of keep compressing it. And then when you get that compression complete, it takes a couple of months, but by the time you do your first round, your second round, your third round, then you make a list of 8 things you want to do and you give yourself a day. So how people do a plan or a to-do list? Until you get it into the subconscious, you make a list of 8, all the areas and one thing you're going to do today. But if you do the process, it'll be a lot easier. So try not to skip over to just one day from today to one day. Do the process, do the work. And then you go, wow, like I haven't taken any time for me in the last 5 years. Like what? You'll have some revelations in the process. So thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you.
So that's a New Year's resolution. Get your tires fully inflated. Remember, there's tires. All good.
Very
Yeah,
good.
go get your tires balanced and keep them there.
I like that.
That's a good one.
Excellent. Wow, awesome. Again, thank you very much. In the meantime, I wish everyone happy holidays. It's been, we are grateful for the, good health, family, and also good friends and good relationships. So very much blessed. So thank you again, everyone, for all your support. And thank you again, Dr. Laurie. It was awesome. We'll have more of this. As we said, we have, as Chief mentioned, you'll have New Year resolution, and we'll follow up on this to see how our tires. Maybe once a month, I will have like a 5-minute check on tires. So all that. Anyway, if there's no other comment, again, thank you so much. I'll wish you a wonderful holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome.
There.